In the cold labyrinth of distorted relationships, there exists a type of person who leaves you both enchanted and emotionally exhausted, the narcissist. They don't love you, they love the power you give them. In their world, every road leads back to the glorified self, a false god they worship above all else. They manipulate you with charming eyes, control you through strategic silence, and drain you with calculated indifference, all without a trace of remorse. But have you ever asked yourself, is there anything powerful enough to make someone who seems heartless actually taste regret? The answer is yes, because no matter how thick their mask is, buried deep within their twisted soul lies a quiet, lingering fear. The fear of abandonment, the fear of being forgotten, and above all, the fear that someone might one day see through the illusion and uncover who they truly are. And you, the one they once dismissed, belittled, and left broken in the dark, you are the one who holds the key to awakening that fear, not through revenge, but through awakening by stepping out of the role they scripted for you and reclaiming your voice, your worth, and your freedom. This journey is not easy. It demands courage, patience, and a heart strong enough to heal itself in the aftermath of destruction. But once you walk through that darkness, what awaits you is not just light, but a reborn version of yourself, stronger, wiser, and no longer under their spell. Join me as we unmask the truth behind the narcissist's illusion and learn how to turn your pain into power in this quiet yet fierce psychological war, the battle to reclaim yourself. The issue here isn't that you didn't love enough or that you weren't patient enough. The truth is, you're loving someone who is incapable of returning love in a healthy way. They're not seeking connection, they're seeking control. And to achieve that, they use their most powerful weapon, distorting reality. Narcissists are master performers. They craft perfect stages where you're placed high on a pedestal, only to be pushed off once you begin to trust. It's the cruel cycle of idealization, devaluation, discard. In the beginning, they make you believe you are special, irreplaceable, the one and only. But once they've secured your emotional dependence, the mask begins to crack. Subtle criticisms, calculated glances, calculated silences, each one a psychological blow, carefully designed to shake your confidence in yourself. And the most dangerous part is you begin to doubt yourself instead of doubting them. This is what psychology calls gaslighting, a manipulation tactic that makes the victim question their own memory, perception, and emotions. A narcissist will deny what they previously said, twist events, and make you feel like you're overreacting, too sensitive, or even crazy. Little by little, you are drained, not just mentally, but spiritually and emotionally. You may begin to experience anxiety, mild depression, insomnia, or even a disconnection from your own identity. Why do you stay? Because the narcissist plants a seed of belief in your mind that no one else will ever love you like they do. They build a psychological prison where you feel you need them, even though they are the very source of your pain. The terrifying truth is this: you don't even realize you're being abused. There are no bruises, no visible wounds, an invisible exhaustion, a numbing fog, and a heart that's slowly hardening from being treated as if you don't matter. But once you see this for what it truly is, you will understand that real love never requires you to lose yourself. And any relationship that demands you shrink your worth to survive isn't love, it's emotional enslavement. What a narcissist never expects is that you might see through them. They believe you'll never recognize the manipulation, that you'll forever remain an easy prey, submissive under their charm, obedient to their empty promises. But the moment you become aware that you're being deceived and emotionally exploited, the power dynamic shifts. Understanding narcissism isn't just the key to ending a toxic relationship, it is the weapon that allows you to reclaim your life, transforming you from a passive victim into a resilient warrior. Imagine speaking to a narcissist. Every time you try to communicate, they slip out of accountability with the finesse of a tightrope walker, flipping the blame back onto you with razor-sharp lines like, if you weren't so sensitive, none of this would be happening. It hurts, it confuses you, it leaves you disoriented, like you're wandering a maze with no exit. But once you begin to recognize these behaviors for what they are, the illusion collapses. You see clearly their goal was never connection, it was control, the slow erosion of your self-worth. And when you finally stand up, look them in the eye and say, enough, that's the moment they realize they've misjudged you, a fatal error in the psychological game they believed they had mastered. Narcissists with egos inflated like oversized balloons live under the illusion of being untouchable. They lack one critical trait: self-reflection, a core deficit outlined in the DSM-5 diagnostic criteria for narcissistic personality disorder. They are blinded by the belief that no one is intelligent enough to expose them. But you, with your clarity and resilience, do the unthinkable. You pierce through that polished facade. This awakening doesn't come easy. It requires you to face the painful truth that the person you once trusted, even loved, was never real. They were a crafted image, a persona designed solely to serve their self-interest. Psychologist Melanie Tanya Evans calls this moment the cognitive shock, the realization that you were never the problem. They were always the source of the chaos. And that shock, painful as it is, holds immense power. It not only frees you from misplaced guilt, it gives you the strength to act. When you begin to act, the narcissist panics. They are not used to losing control because their entire worldview is built on domination and manipulation. Picture this. You refuse to play the blame game. You no longer react to their empty flattery or their cutting criticisms. Instead, you walk away in silence, leaving them alone with the emptiness they've spent a lifetime avoiding. And this, your indifference, is their greatest fear, not hatred, not revenge, indifference. Because your indifference is living proof that they are no longer the center of your universe. A direct blow to the already fragile ego they guard so viciously. Psychologist Sam Vakni, a renowned expert in narcissistic pathology, calls this the narcissistic injury. A strike to their self-image that leaves them stunned, even desperate, though they'll never admit it. But the real victory lies not in watching them hurt. That's merely a byproduct. The real value is in your liberation and your redefinition of self. When you realize that narcissism isn't power, it's weakness disguised in grandiosity, you begin to see your scars not as signs of failure, but as badges of survival. You learn to set boundaries, not faint lines, easily erased, but fortress no one can breach. You learn to love yourself, not through someone else's praise, but through the deep, unwavering belief that you deserve joy, freedom, and a life no longer imprisoned by someone else's need. And that is something a narcissist will never understand. That real strength doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering yourself. This journey isn't just about escape, it's about evolution. You don't merely recover from what they did, you rise beyond it. While they remain trapped in a spiral of arrogance and loneliness, you emerge like fire from the ashes, radiant and unbreakable. The greatest victory you claim is not over them, but over the fear and self-doubt they planted within you. You become living proof that no matter how destructive a narcissist can be, they can never destroy a soul that knows how to rise and heal. And when you walk away, leaving them behind with their own helplessness, you won't just find freedom. You find meaning, not in revenge, but in living a life they can never touch. A life of wholeness, authenticity, and sovereignty. Yes, the narcissist may continue seeking new prey, but you have become the story they'll never dare tell. The one who saw through them, stood up, and won. And then you leave, not with the noise of an argument, nor with tears or pleading. You leave in silence, with a cold, steel-like resolve, never to return. The narcissist, in their blind arrogance, never saw it coming. They believed you would remain trapped in their cycle of manipulation, that you would always come back, even just to beg for a crumb of recognition from their frozen hands. But the moment you cross the threshold and slam the door shut behind you, so you don't just walk away from a toxic relationship, so you sever the final thread that once tied you to their control. This isn't just a goodbye, it's a declaration. You've seen them clearly, and you choose yourself. The narcissist cannot comprehend this. In their distorted mind, you are property, a resource, an endless supply for their inflated ego, what psychologists call narcissistic supply. They need you to reflect their false greatness, to soothe the deep insecurity they will never face. When you leave, they don't grieve who you are, they grieve what you represented. A shattered mirror, an empty stage where no one is clapping anymore. They will try to pull you back, not out of love, not out of remorse, but out of desperation, like an addict cut off from their drug. You'll see the same old tricks. Unexpected sweet messages, hollow apologies, even veiled threats. This is called hoovering, a term inspired by the Hoover vacuum cleaner, describing how narcissists attempt to suck you back into their web of control. But you, with eyes wide open and a heart forged in fire, I won't fall for it again. Leaving is not the hardest part. The hardest part is never going back, not because you're weak, but because narcissists are masters of planting doubt. They once made you believe you couldn't live without them, that you'd be nothing without their presence. To lift you, but now you know it was a lie, repeated just enough to keep you within reach. Psychologist Ramani Durbasula once said, "A narcissist doesn't destroy you with their power. They destroy you by making you doubt your own. When you leave, you must build an inner fortress, not to fight them, but to protect the truth you've uncovered, that you are strong enough, worthy enough, and whole enough to stand alone." The journey of not going back begins with recognizing the wounds they left behind. A narcissist doesn't just take your time, energy, or emotions. They plant toxic seeds in your mind, self-doubt, guilt, and fear of abandonment. Every time you think about going back, it isn't love. It's those seeds sprouting, uttered by old patterns and emotional conditioning. To break free, you must uproot them. Ask yourself, what exactly do I miss? Someone who never truly existed? Or the illusion I once believed was real? When you look back clearly, you'll see that the good moments weren't genuine connection. They were calculated bait designed to keep you trapped. This clarity gives you the ultimate freedom, the power to choose, not between staying or leaving, but between living as your true self or continuing in the shadows of someone else's illusion. The narcissist won't stop when you're gone. They may launch a smear campaign, paint you as the villain in someone else's story, fabricate narratives where they are the victim. This is textbook narcissistic behavior, not because they care about your reputation, but because they must protect their image at all costs. But you don't need to respond. Your silence is your most powerful weapon. It shows you've outgrown their game, that you are no longer part of the script they wrote for you. Let them drown in their own chaos. You have more important things to do, like rebuilding your life. Leaving and not going back requires you to redefine happiness. The narcissist once made you believe happiness was something they bestowed, a rare compliment, a fleeting moment of attention. But now you know better. You find joy in small, real things. A peaceful morning, undisturbed by unreasonable demands. A relationship free of manipulation. A sense of self-worth rebuilt not from validation, but from inner truth. And that's something the narcissist will never understand. That true power doesn't come from controlling others, but from mastering yourself. When you leave and promise never to return, you don't just escape them, you escape your old self. The one who trembled under criticism, who shrank in fear of abandonment, you become someone new, resilient, confident, and unshakable. The narcissist may continue their cycle, hunting new victims to fill the void you left behind. But you won't be among them. You have stepped into the light, a place they can never reach. They may never admit defeat, but your absence is undeniable proof. They lost, and you won. In the end, not going back isn't just a decision, it's a promise to yourself, a promise that you will never let anyone, not even yourself, drag you back into that darkness. You didn't leave to escape, you left to live a life the narcissist could only dream of, free, authentic, and whole. And when you look back, you won't feel regret, you'll feel pride, because you chose yourself, and you kept that promise.